All right, good evening, everyone. It is June the 1st, 2021. It is 6:03. I'll call the Keystone Heights Airport Authority meeting to order and ask that we all stand for prayer and pledge of allegiance. Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love, your grace, your mercy. We thank you for the freedom that we exercise tonight to do the business of the airport. Give us wisdom and clarity of all that we see and hear and decisions that we make. Father, we continue to lift up Miss Charlotte, lift up David Nichols as they've lost loved ones. We ask that you continue to comfort them and strengthen them during these difficult days. Lord, may all that we do tonight bring glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, Ms. Hitt.
Chair Kirkland.
Present.
Vice Chair Fryer.
Here.
Major McDowell is absent. Mr. Cornegay.
Here.
Mr. Rashar.
Here.
Mr. Harvin.
Present.
Ms. Rakowski.
Here.
Mr. Prang.
Here.
Ms. Whitney. All right, Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hitt. Let the record show that we do have a quorum for the meeting. And also, as guests tonight, we have Joel Lamp and Brad Whitt, and we'll be hearing from them in just a little bit. Ms. Hitt, do you have any public comment cards?
None were received, Chairman.
All right. Moving on to item 2 on our agenda. You had received previously by email the consent agenda, which consisted of the April 2021 financials and the minutes for the May 4th, 2021 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Carried. All right. Next item is we have a presentation by Joel on the Nitro event. So Joel, good to have you with us.
Good to be here. This is exciting. When we started working with Clay County as their sports tourism arm, one of the challenges that they threw at us was go get us another signature event. We have the fair. How do we create another signature event? We said, well, we're not going to get you the Super Bowl, but we're going to go start looking for something. And lo and behold, we got introduced to the guys at Nitro Circus. Travis Pastrana is their kind of poster child. Amazingly talented individual who will do anything that potentially could kill him, but he'll do it safely and make sure that he walks out on the other side. He may have a broken arm or a leg or something, but somehow or another he walks away. And so as we've been talking with them, we've been working on this project for 9 months before we announced the race was coming, and really got them to buy into the idea of where the location is, but the track itself. The opportunity to kind of use this to showcase this region, but also everything that Florida has to offer. When they do the race, and I'll show you in just a minute the course, they're going to see pavement, they'll see dirt, they'll see sand, they'll see grass, and they're going to go through the forest. They're going to get to see a little bit of everything that Florida has to offer inside of the course. And they do these courses kind of custom made to each region that they go to. They want you to get a taste of it. When you go to Utah, they're going to put you through the big pine trees and do some of that. When they go to Canada, they're going to do it in the winter, and they want to make it where they're having a race in the snow. When they go to Dubai, which is 2 weeks after our race, hey, we're going to see a little taste of the desert. What they have created is take rally racing, which is a passion that Travis has, and how do you condense it into a TV format that is fan-friendly and something that is fun to watch and experience live. If you go to a rally event, with these major rally events, they're spread out over hundreds of miles. You see them leave, you see them arrive, you don't get to see what happens in between. This is how do we see everything within a couple of miles. So, with that, I'm hoping the video will come up. This will give you a little taste of what they. That jump is the signature piece at every one of the tracks. And when we first saw it, I was like, okay, is that like a special piece of it? And they're like, no, no, no. They will literally race side by side over the jump, back around, and it's an integral part of the course. So we'll switch to the presentation. So to give you an idea of the next slide. So this is Utah. So this is a tentative schedule of events. One of the things we want to be able to do is make this a regional event that's going to be felt. The economic impact is going to be felt from Gainesville to Orange Park to Palatka. North Central Florida is going to have a major impact on this. But we also want to be able to make sure that it's an event that everybody in the community can get a piece of without even having to buy a ticket. And so the transporters are going to be coming from west. Since we're the only race east of the Mississippi, they're all going to be coming from the West Coast. And so what we're going to do is build a transporter tour when they get off I-75 in Gainesville, do kind of a welcome event in Gainesville. Try to have a car or two at a location in Gainesville so you can see the cars up close, get a taste of the event, meet one of the drivers, something along those lines. And then we're going to do Gainesville, Stark, and Keystone. Bring all the transporters in, make it a festive event. You get to see the cars up close, get to see the trucks, and then we're going to bring them in Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there as we're building the time frame. And then they'll load in to the track and get set up and parked for the week. Then Thursday is going to be our RV move-in day. We will have RVs on site. They will be paying a premium price, kind of those infield seats that you have at Daytona. But we're only going to have 1 to 2 areas where we're going to have these RVers at on the course. And then Friday is media day and practice. We'll have all the local TV stations. Everybody will be out, and this is a great opportunity for us from an airport standpoint, but also as the firm to really help get the word out about the track. So that Friday is a big day for us. Not a lot of we will have no public right now is the plan for Friday. Saturday is qualifying. Gates will open at 10 a.m. They'll be racing and practicing throughout the day, and then we're going to close the gates at 5 o'clock. Get everybody out. Kind of a soft opening. We can kind of work through any kinks that we've got from a planning standpoint. We'll be able to work through on Saturday. Well, Sunday is the Super Bowl. We'll open gates at 8 a.m. The racing begins at 10. It ends somewhere between 4 and 5 p.m. and we're going to get everybody out of the facility by 6, at least to their cars by 6. After that, it may take a little while, but that's okay. Gives you kind of a taste of the schedule for the weekend. On the next slide, this is the tentative course routing and some ideas we've got right now for seating and everything. This will more than likely be the pit area, and they will turn onto the runway here and come in for the start. There's a gate right here. They'll come in. We'll start them. They will come this way. The way their racing works is it's anti-NASCAR. If you watch a NASCAR race, they're gonna sit there for 500 miles, and they're gonna go right behind each other, and they'll pass, and then they'll get back in line. Their goal is, I'm tired of being behind you for a lap, I'm gonna go do this joker lap. And so you're gonna do the joker, and you're gonna come out through the woods, back around, over by where the RVs will be at, cut through the grass, and go on, back onto the track. If you don't, you're coming over the jump, over this way, back onto the dirt, and around, staying on the pavement, come back around and do that. That way, you've got a chance at jumping in front of them, and there's kind of a choice you've got to make here as a racer. All of our ticketing will come in from here. We'll put all of our GA seating here, and I say seating loosely. We're not gonna be putting a ton of bleachers out there. This is more of a bring your own chair crowd, bring a pop-up tent, set up along the side and kind of set up your area for the day and come camp out and have a great time. All of our fan activation and everything will be up towards the front entrance where the existing gate is to get to the track. We're going to use that as our kind of ticket booth area, and everything from that point forward to the track is going to be kind of our fan interaction. Create some concession areas, food and beverage items, food trucks, all that, and then flow them all along this side. We'll have the jump premium ticket. I don't know how possible this will be here in the middle of the track, but we're definitely working on a plan to get this part here. So now it's a all-inclusive package. You bought your ticket, your food, your drinks, everything are covered in there. We'll have a bar and a food truck in there that'll be locked and loaded, ready to go. Obviously, our sponsorship suite and VIP area, high-end ticket, high-end experience, and then additional GA seating over here. Depending on how many RVs we can put on the course in this area will determine how much seating we try to put over here, or if we need to add extra RVs to put over there. That's kind of the RVs are a big piece of the experience and a big piece of the budget from our standpoint.
How many do you anticipate, Joel, or do you even know?
We're hoping,
RVs.
our goal is 40.
40?
If, once we get past 40, we're into the bonus round and we're in a great spot. We anticipate at least a demand for 40 RV spots. That's based off of what we've done with, our motocross event in the past 2 years out at WW Ranch on the west side of Jacksonville. We did about 200 RVs out there, and everybody wanted the 20 spots along the front straightaway. And knowing that we could have sold, if we had more square footage, we could have sold more. We know we've got a nice swath of land right here that can work. Originally, we were gonna try to go all the way around, and then there's a Camping World, or this turn becomes a branded turn. But that also is into the airport space, so I'm not gonna go there. So we're gonna leave this spot open, bring them in over here along this path, and then that way we've got them kind of cordoned off, and they've got their own little area.
Is that what you meant by how many, or do you mean how many people total?
No, I mean, how many RV?
Are you gonna share that with the group? I mean, I was in that meeting.
So our ticket goal is 20,000 people. We feel really comfortable about getting to 15, and 20,000 is our limit.
What's the total acreage of what you've allocated for seating when it comes to general admission?
No idea.
Because I'm trying to scale that out and I'm having a hard time scaling it out in my mind.
As you can tell, it's a
It's a
PowerPoint. We're putting red boxes.
right.
I've got to come back now, and this is the draft. This is not the final thing. And this is probably, I think, the first time we've shown this in public. So we've got a meeting with the Nitro guys next week to kind of fine tune this. They've got a huge worldwide media package, so they may come back and say, hey, NBC needs this for
Right.
TV. We've got to start shifting some things around.
Yeah, I was thinking that you haven't designated this, or I haven't seen it at least, but you're gonna need a pretty large space just for all the support staff and all the ancillary components that go with it. Where would you anticipate those being?
All of that can be right here behind the track. So if you go up one more slide, she can go to the next slide. So
There we go.
this gives you another bird's eye view. Team parking, VIP parking, what we want to be able to do is if you're a VIP, you got your sponsorship, you're coming to the tent right here, you're just walking straight across.
Right.
It'd be possibly the best VIP parking situation in the history of the sporting event. The team area will be right, I've got it here, it's more than likely gonna end up taking up this spot and staying off the runway because they're gonna go and use this to get onto the track. The tractor trailer haulers, we're gonna be able to park them right here, right next to it, so that way if there's something they need to go get. And they're gonna come back and probably tell me, Joel, you're way off base, this is how we do it. But this is a great kind of rough draft of it. So if there's any ancillary stuff that we need, we'll be able to kind of stash it back here and create that opening for the VIP parking kind of walk through.
Okay. Do you anticipate needing additional, and the only reason I'm asking you this is just kind of thinking, I'm just
Sure,
asking
no, no,
questions. I mean, there are other areas in here that there's a potential could be cleared as part of another activity. So I don't know if that's even something that is valuable to consider at this point, or if you feel as though there's ample frontage space to accommodate 20,000 individuals and all the support staff associated with it. Because how many acres is the firm? Less than 100?
Oh, no, their total?
Yeah, what's their total
Well,
acreage?
they go clear along 1129, it's
Right.
like 260.
260 is under their lease ownership? Okay.
And Joel, just for clarification, because we may have an audience watching
Yes, sir.
where people may study the minutes. When you talk about the runway, we're talking about the abandoned runway.
Exactly, yes.
We're not talking about closing an active
No,
runway.
just and I use it just from a visual standpoint,
The old-
runway. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, so the other piece of this is, and Brad and his team with the sheriff's office have been fantastic on this. We've got a really solid plan. We know we've got one, parking is not the issue. Traffic is an issue, but everybody coming knows that traffic is going to be an issue. So just, everybody's gonna be prepared. I know I'm going to have to wait to get there. We have a plan in place to get at what we calculate about 2 miles of path to get them around before they even get to here.
Circulation of traffic.
The circulation, we're gonna be able to circulate them through off of 100 for at least 2 miles before they get to here. That's huge in keeping 100 flowing, which we know is the top priority for all of us. If we can keep 100 flowing, that means we're doing our job here in possibly the most efficient manner possible.
And that's good, but are you talking about bringing them down here and bringing them through the loop and around?
Yes, sir.
So how are we gonna get tenants in and out?
Or that's something that was, I think we're just kind of ongoing.
Okay,
We'll continue to discuss that because we've got, even we talked about with staff over at the firm or even the race staff as well, they'll have some sort of color-coded card in their window or something that will allow them to get beyond the
well,
traffic.
you can, but if you do the loop, you negate that ability. Because you're gonna have the traffic going back up, so you'll have the outbound lane blocked partial, and the inbound. There will be no way to get off on the shoulders.
Right.
It's the only thing I'm
There
worried
may
about.
be a way to get a tenant through with a pass credential and get them where they just come straight through, right through here. Or they can come through at the firm gate, and turn in the firm and then come down through here.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I'm one of the ones that suggested in that prior meeting that we use the loop, but the only problem with that is when you go around the loop, and you go back up towards the firm gate, now you've got the inbound and outbound lanes blocked for at least 3/4 of a mile or a mile here.
And that's where we can work through some ideas on, if they've got a permit and treat the tenants the same way we're treating the race crew. Hey, if they've got a pass and we can get out, we can.
Well, the pass is fine, but if there's not a lane to drive on a pass is what I'm talking about.
They would be in the traffic flow, but they would have almost like preferred access. As long as they've got it on their windshield, you can turn at the firm gate and bypass coming back up here and getting into the loop and coming back.
Okay.
There's a couple of those options and ideas we kind of got in the back of our head that we can treat the tenants the same as the race crews. Cause at the end of the day, we can't start the race till the drivers get here.
Right.
So I don't need to send the drivers through the loop and back. The drivers need a direct access to the facility. And so if we've got the drivers coming in at the firm gate down there, potentially we can give the tenants the same access as that.
Have you considered a multimodal approach, such as using like motor coaches and you have parking
that's
area?
coming.
All right, so that's already in motion.
That's in motion, because what we're gonna offer some packages where you're gonna stay in Orange Park and you're gonna
bring you
jump
there.
on and we're gonna bring you in. Absolutely, yes.
Joel, are you proposing with the tenants that may come into the firm gate, are you proposing that they'll get to their T-hangers down the taxiway?
Potentially, yes, if that's an opportunity.
It's either that is an option, or the only other way would be if we just kind of, I'm thinking of, what is that, State Route 21? Right now with all the construction, where you're just doing you've got stop signs with individuals on each end and kind of allowing those people to come
You
through.
have
And they need to-
traffic set up with individuals that are manning those stations.
Right.
So we'll have some teams here, so if they've got to get to the hangars back here, correct? That's what we're trying to get to? So they would have their pass, and instead of getting caught in the loop, they'd be able to show their credential and just keep going straight and not have to get in the loop too. So we've got an option where they can come in the firm gate and go down the taxiway, or when they just be in the traffic flow, but then once they get to the loop, they've got their credential on the dashboard, they stay out of the loop and they just keep coming straight back to the hangars, like they normally would.
But if the loop is occupied, that's what I'm talking about.
No, we can stop the loop here, instead of them where they turn back, we can control the loop to a point where it's not, we can bring a car through there, through the loop. So the loop will come here and shoot back. We can still stop the loop right here for a minute to allow a tenant to come through. That's easy.
Scott, you're less concerned about the loop, more concerned about the inbound traffic lane, right?
Well,
Inbound lane is stacked up.
maybe I'm just misunderstanding. So if I'm trying to I'm using this as a big shock absorber. I'm sucking all the cars I can to get them off the highway and coming all the way down here.
Yes, sir.
Now, when I get them down here, unless I hold them here and leave this lane open all the way, but if I continue the loop back up to the firm gate, now I've got both lanes blocked
So the one thing.
for the section from the firm down here to the loop. So I'm just trying to understand how the logistics are keeping it free.
We can't get them the like speedway access. We can't make an express lane because there isn't room for it. So we can either cut them through the firm gate, which is what we're looking at doing for the teams.
When they come by on the first pass as they're coming in.
Yes, sir. They can take a left and that gets them right onto the taxiway and they can take that to the hangars. Or they just stay in the traffic flow, but instead of going into the loop, they go straight. We stop the loop here where we're turning everybody back into it, and they just bypass and go straight through.
So there's
Bringing them through this gate, I guess.
there's a section of Airport Road that's not gonna have traffic coming in this way. You're rerouting them somewhere else.
So, yeah,
Correct.
from what I'm understanding, Camp Crystal Road up to here it will have outbound, once it's come in, it'll have outbound.
Right.
Yes,
But all the inbound traffic, unless you're a tenant, you could get on this road,
right.
from what I'm hearing.
The inbound isn't gonna be blocked. It's not gonna be congested because you've got them routing a different direction.
Yes.
So that's
What won't be congested?
This stretch right
This
here.
stretch right here. So once you hit that, was it
I mean, it
camp?
won't be if you stop the traffic over there. Once you get it filled up, you'll have this lane. But if you allow the loop to come on around and go back, because that's how you're gonna get them in. You're using the whole loop and bringing it around as a shock to get them off the highway, and that makes perfectly good sense. But we've got a 2-lane road, and now when you get them down here, you've got to get them over to that field. The only way to do that is to bring them back up this road and in the firm gate.
Correct. So what we'll be able to
So
do.
excuse me, real quick. When you do that, you've got that road full, both lanes, and there's nowhere to get off. So that's where I'm just,
Road back to the firm, both lanes are filled.
well, if the loop comes around here, yeah, it'll be,
It'd just be one lane going back out though, Scott.
but you'll have cars waiting coming in, right?
No,
Not right.
they're gonna turn at Camp Crystal. They gotta, to get on
Okay,
the
so you'll
loop.
have this little bit.
Yeah,
And that you.
That does make sense. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I understand what y'all are saying now. Okay.
So right here,
So you'll have a little stretch here that's open, but,
So instead, I guess this is a bad way of doing it. From here, you're gonna take a right and go into the loop and then come back around.
that's correct.
If you're a tenant, you're gonna come here, you're gonna have to flash your
you
credentials.
go straight
You're
ahead.
going straight and you're.
I got you now.
Everything. Yes,
So the tenant only has to wait 45 minutes in the lane from 100 to Crystal Lake Road.
and now, if we can get it where it works, where they can get on the taxiway, then this wait is next to nothing at that point.
We're probably not talking about a lot of people, but
Yeah, I mean, if we look on a Saturday, Sunday, you know,
10, 15 tenants may come out.
if that,
I think that most folks will probably be discouraged to come out unless they want to attend the event.
And go back to it, Saturday is not our big day.
Certainly.
Saturday is our, if we get 5,000 people on Saturday, then we're in great shape.
Are you selling tickets for
Absolutely.
Saturday? Okay.
It'll be a cheaper ticket, but it's not, they're not racing. It's more onesie twosies out there. There's not 20 cars on the track at one time, all that stuff.
you're just doing their trial runs or heat runs or
Yeah,
whatever.
they're doing practices, qualifying, getting everything kind of tweaked and set up for Sunday.
And then real quick, if fire rescue needs to get in, then, so from the firm gate to 100 will be vacant, at least in the outbound lane. So fire rescue can come in there or can go out there via the firm
They're
gate.
working on some stuff.
Okay.
They've got a couple of options that they've got.
we're looking at potentially putting in an emergency easement road.
Okay.
But we're still trying to work out all the details with Crawford County on that. So hopefully we'll know more.
Yeah.
And Clay County, yeah. We'll know more of that maybe by the end of this month.
Are you offering a fly-in package to encourage people to fly in as opposed to drive in to an airport?
We absolutely should. I haven't thought about that, but let's do it. I'm in.
We don't have any tie-down space.
See, well, huge ramp.
We have a fix for that.
Yeah, we'll have 9, I forgot.
I can see
Nine
Brad's like, how many
lanes.
copies?
9 planes.
How many guys?
So this really isn't that important, but just out of curiosity, of the 20,000 that you're anticipating, what percentage do you think will be locals or the result of local marketing? I mean, is 90% of the crowd gonna be from away or more?
We're guessing it's a 40-60 split.
Oh, really? That much?
40% local, 60% out of town.
I'll be darned.
The one thing that lends it to that is the fact we're the only race on the East Coast. Everything else is Mountain Time Zone, Pacific Time Zone. So there are a wide number of, forget the Rally Cross and the Nitro. There are just a number of Travis Pastrana fans who are going to come to see him do this. Whatever it is, he can come out here and be racing a water buffalo in a jet ski, and people would come out and watch it.
Right.
That's where everything that we've seen and studied and looked at says we're going to have a boatload of people coming in from out of town. Start setting up everything to be able to, now put my tourism hat on, we're looking at our fans to be staying. Stark is your first spot because it's the closest spot. And we've got enough hotels and properties that we can provide a good experience. You're gonna get in and be able to come in. You've got the RV park right down the street. It's packed right now and opening up more spaces. So whatever space he's got, somebody's gonna fill it that weekend, more than likely. Then our fans outside of Stark, it's Gainesville, Orange Park. Middlebury and Fleming Island are gonna be our headquarters for the teams and the staff of the race. We're building that so that way the traffic flow, we know where they're coming from. We're controlling that piece. We know, hey, I gotta get Travis into the course. I need to get him through 100. How do I do that the best way possible? Bring him down Blanding 21 and bring him up 100. And it's all right-hand turns. So that way we've got a little bit more control on that.
Fly him in.
Fly him in. That's, well, let's don't do that yet because he might actually parachute out of a plane, come in. So it's gonna be a really cool event. And the great thing is they're committed to doing it for 5 years. And so they want to see the event grow. They want to see the venue grow. We had Travis here last Monday for a site visit. And they've got a lot of really cool footage and stuff that they're going to use the next couple of months to promote the race. So the one thing that sold us even more, the event is huge and bigger than a lot of us, we all say 20,000, and it's going to be bigger than all that when we get done. It's a year-round piece of business. These guys are coming in throughout the year to test the car, to race, to practice. There's nowhere on the East Coast that's hosting a race. Where are they going to come? They're only going to come to where they're racing. They're doing a race at. So we feel really good. Like Travis has already made, that was his second visit here. We've got a site visit on Wednesday. The other teams are committing, and one of the groups is from Europe, and they've already said, hey, we're not even going back home during December. We're going to stay in the States, and instead of dealing with winter in Central Europe, Florida isn't a bad spot to be before you go to the desert.
How many cars are competing in each race? I mean, is there multiple races throughout the day?
There's multiple races. So, and the way they've designed it is it's almost 10 minutes. And it's part of it is if you were designing baseball from scratch right now, there's no way it'd be 9 innings. It would be a faster game. It'd be something you can get done inside 2 to 3 hours. And so their mindset is, how do we do this event in this new era of short attention spans? How do I make it look cool on TV? How do I make it look cool as an event? And so they have kind of 10-minute segments, and they have different disciplines. So obviously the one that you saw is the premier division that Travis and the top of the line racers will be in. Once you get past that, it's kind of now how do you build the next layer of sport? And it's a little bit different car. And so the last I checked, they've got 3 levels of racing in the event. And so they'll kind of rotate throughout the day.
So, I mean, are they going to have, maybe in one heat or one race, they'll have 5 cars on the track?
They should have 15 cars, I believe, on the track.
Okay.
Every race.
So it should be pretty interesting.
Yes.
And one other thing, you're going to do online ticket sales.
Yes, sir.
Do you think you'll be able to satisfy your sales just through that? Or are you going to do, I mean, how are you going to limit the crowd? Are you going to stop it at 25,000?
Yes. We're cutting it off at 20,000. Once we get to that point, we're
20,000 now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Once we get to 20,000, we're done. Knock on wood. We get to 20,000 before the event, and we're calling it a sellout, and we're done.
Okay.
Short of that, we'll sell tickets the day of. And on some level, the bad thing about this market is we're going to go on sale probably in July with the race. We'll have a quick uptick on premium spots and RV spots. And then it's going to just be, and then we're going to go from 200 tickets day one. Wow, yes, it's awesome.
Right.
Day two, we'll have 2. And then it's just a slow trickle. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks out, you're sitting there and you're looking at your numbers and you're like, okay, we've got 8,000 tickets sold. And you know it's going to double within 2 weeks of the race. And that from a planning standpoint, it's absolutely beyond frustrating, but that is our market. When we did the NCAA basketball tournament in 2019, we had, I think, 6,000 tickets available going into Selection Sunday. Once we got Kentucky, we sold out within 5 minutes. So part of this is just our area. And so with it being a new event,
I was gonna say, probably the first year, maybe you struggle a little bit, and if it catches on, then it grows.
Exactly.
And you learn, we always learn from the first event and better it, so.
So, and then the last slide, I think, kind of gives you a little bit more, some more pictures and visuals of it. So the other piece, the other big opportunity around this is Sunday is 8 hours of live broadcasting on Peacock, NBC streaming channel, which they have done an amazing job of building it up as a sports platform. And then they will take that 8 hours and condense it into a 1 hour television show that'll air within a week or 2 of the race actually happening. And when you watch the show, it will make it seem like it's live. They do a really good job now of making these highlight package shows seem like wow, is this really going on right now? And it's not, but they do a really good job of making it seem like it. Any other questions?
We've met now, is it 3 times? 3 or 4 times, I think, with both Clay County and with Bradford County, EOC and the Sheriff's Department. So we'll continue to meet on a monthly basis, and I think we decided maybe the closer we get, we'll probably meet maybe even weekly, just to make sure everything's in place. You know, as Joel mentioned, this is just preliminary. Thankfully, I think it was the 29th of June was when the Nitro
That's the
event
big
people were coming in. They're still scheduled for that, but we just found out last week that they're coming in. There's another group coming in on the 9th, which helps us out because I think it's being able to firm up exactly how they want the layout. And as we've mentioned in the past, however the event happens inside the fence, I know the airport, we're like, okay, good, they can manage that part, but it's always the safety and security piece of it with the traffic and how it impacts 100 and tenants and all of that. So we're trying to work with the best of what we've got here. And I'm confident both with Brad and with John Ward, they're not gonna allow it to fail by any means. So we'll continue to update you as we find out more that we can get confirmed in terms of emergency easements and paths of
Traffic
which way we
flow,
can get,
absolutely.
people in and out. And so if there's ideas along the way, certainly just let me know and I can get with Joel and with Brad and John, and we'll continue to try and make improvements.
Have we also included Camp Landing with respect to having that as a potential emergency outlet?
Yeah, 'cause I think
Back out Governor's Road and down?
he's attended almost all of our meetings, so he's offered that as well. He even offered that, I think, as a way for traffic out, and I'm like, no, we don't wanna do that
Right.
just because of the taxiway. And we don't wanna have to close that down, so, but he's involved with that, and I think when this all comes to, once we get closer to the end of it, I had mentioned that to John Ward, let's make sure that that is in print, that's our emergency exit, because as we know, the month before all of this, of course, we've got the Jeep event. And those were some big numbers when it was just the Jeep event. Now we've got this number, and now it makes it look like the Jeep event's just no big deal. So we're not losing sight of that event as well, because we wanna make sure we incorporate that emergency exit for the Blanding piece as well.
Okay.
We're excited. Thank y'all. Thank you. And Maria and her team have been fantastic. The gang at the firm has been awesome. So, the one thing that, when we did the site visit with Travis, and we had him out at Florida. We did what, January, February? We were still
February.
Yeah.
wearing masks, and we were sitting on the front porch of Florida Cracker Kitchen, and within 15 minutes, everybody in the restaurant had figured out that who Travis was. Some of them didn't know who Travis was, like the manager on duty that day. And then within 15, 20 minutes, there was a group that was going to race at the dirt track in Waldo, had found out that Travis was sitting on the front porch having lunch with us, meeting everybody. They pulled in to go meet Travis. And then when they were walking by, they're like, no way, we got his autograph. It was amazing. They're like, okay, now that was kind of, I wish we could have planned that. But they're like, this is where we need to be. So we're excited. It's gonna be a fun event. So thank y'all for your help and support on it.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Brad, thank you for working, you and John working with Maria and Joel's team, and let us know how we can help.
Absolutely. Ms. Marie and her team have been great. I just wanted to stop by and introduce myself. My name's Brad Witt. I'm with Emergency Management in Bradford County. As John so graciously pointed out to me when we got to really planning all this is actually in your county, so have fun with it. But we're going to take some help from our friends over in Clay County for sure. And I heard couple questions get mentioned about some traffic and safety and stuff like that. We're starting that planning now. We want to have a plan to get emergency services in and out, to have them pre-staged before this. So our fire rescue, our law enforcement are working hand in hand with Clay. We're starting to get that planned out now and have some preliminary information to you guys in the coming months. That way you can kind of know how all of that's going to work. Because I know that just like us, y'all's number one goal is to be safe. We want it to be successful, but we're going to make sure it's safe and a good event that people want to continue to come to. So, I'll offer my card to anybody before we get out of here tonight. Who, if you guys have questions or something y'all want to work on from the safety security standpoint, we're starting now. I mean, we're hitting the ground running. Joel will tell you, I've been hitting him up for about a week now, saying I need this, because I want to get started because December will be here before we know it. Yep. So. Just appreciate the time to come down and introduce myself, and if I can answer any questions now or as we go forward, I'm always available to do so.
Thank you, Brad. All right, moving on to the agenda, our report section, Mr. Prang.
Well, good evening, members of the board. Quick update, I think number one is project update on that list. So the apron reconstruction is complete, save one work item. We're letting the asphalt cure 30 days before we put on the yellow center line striping. So probably another 2 weeks before that gets done. It's open, it's usable, they're watering the sod, and everything's good to go there. So anybody have any observations or comments on the apron reconstruction part of the project?
Looks good from what I've seen. Sod looks good too.
Yep.
Well, the sod did look good. It's scorched now.
Yeah.
I think they're
But
just
that's
watering
no-
it enough
yeah,
to
that's-
keep it alive.
Well, it's,
Couple
but
of
they
rains,
did
it'll root
do a
in.
very good job on it, so.
The sodded area opposite the hangars is very strong. If you needed to tie down aircraft there, you could probably fit 5 or 6 airplanes there and tie them down. It's got about 6 inches of good hard sand beneath it, and some topsoil. The contractor has been working in hangar F1, doing slab demo and replacement. The slab is all out. They've backfilled back up to the rough grade below slab. And they'll probably start tomorrow or the next day laying in the welded wire fabric, the plastic vapor barrier, etc. They've got concrete scheduled for probably the end of next week. Because the F1 hangar has got a taller door height, they're gonna be able to back the concrete truck all the way up in. And whereas they had to pump the other hangar, pump the concrete, they'll have to do that at E2 also. It's about an 80-yard pour, so 8 trucks, they'll get all that done in one day. And then they'll cut the joints the next day. And I've reminded them about the grounding clamp in the center.
Is that the last hangar, F1?
F1 is, you mean last?
As far as the sequencing of how many
No.
hangars we've approved? How
No,
many
there-
more hangars are there now?
There's one more. They've started also in E2.
Okay.
Which was Nick and Val, which is Nick and Val's hangar. The concrete is all removed, the easy base is all removed, and today I checked on them, they were about halfway up with the stabilized backfill. So I think they're gonna probably get that up, and then they've gotta wait for it to be tested. They'll jump over and work in F1 while they get testing in E2. They're not gonna try to pour both hangars on the same day, they'll probably stagger them by maybe 2 or 3 days. So I would expect in the next 3 weeks, you'll have concrete poured back in both hangar F1 and E2. It's been a little difficult getting concrete lately. It's about 2 weeks out to order concrete. So they've placed an order for the end of next week and then the following week. They're supposed to be done out there by the end of June. Their contract time runs to June 28th. They've got some other things they're working on. There's some lime rock stockpiled in the back that's got to be hauled back out. The easy base hauling has slowed down because that trucking outfit had other commitments. So Herb is working on other trucking subs, trying to get as many involved as he can. It's a little difficult to get them to run all the way to North Jacksonville and back. So I think we always expected that was going to be an item. The easy base stockpile may linger for a little longer than we want, but it will eventually go away. It's not, other than a bit of an eyesore, it's not causing a problem where it is. So, and I think they're pretty much out of the way now, that they're kind of working just inside the hangars and coming from the backside. I don't think we've had any issues with them being in the way. So any questions or comments on that? Okay.
Looks good. From what I've seen,
Yeah.
really looks good.
And our inspector, Don, has got about, he'll be here, he's only been coming periodically because we're getting towards the end of the work. He'll probably be here through the end of next week, and then he's gonna be reassigned to another project, so. But I think we're pretty self-contained. I'll continue to inspect the work even when Don's back and out. Okay, Morgan, can I have slide number 1? So let me talk to you about tie downs. This is just a bit of a recap. You'll remember this, I showed you this once before. This was adding tie downs in front of the FBO building using Aircraft Design Group 1 criteria. Just briefly, Aircraft Group 1 is smaller wingspan, so the taxiway obstacle-free area is narrower around the taxiing path. Next slide, please, Morgan. This is Aircraft Design Group 2. Again, we were able to show 7 new tie downs. This is wider taxiway obstacle-free area, so you get less parking in the middle. At the last meeting, Scott Fryer challenged me on moving, switching 90 degrees. And the look on my face was probably like, Scott, I'm the professional here, not me handling the engineering. But I did say I would check on it. And Morgan, if you'll give us the next slide. Scott was brilliant because we actually did the layout. I said that, yes. We did the layout.
Let him say it again.
You can get 9 aircraft in this using aircraft category 2. Now, we have to remove more striping than before, so the striping cost is a little higher. But we gain 4 aircraft backed up to this side of the apron, and we gain 5 out in the middle. It's approximately the same parking position for the P3 aircraft, and you can cycle Group 2 aircraft around the U-shaped center line freely in front of the apron.
Okay, so MHT Rockland, we wouldn't anticipate an express concern associated with this design?
No, this is essentially the same spot they were gonna park in the other ADG2 option.
Okay.
And I'm not a pilot, Scott, but I think Scott had some other benefits to this about direction, and you wanna talk about prop wash and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, with those P3s, when they go to move, the aircraft are streamlined in the same direction, so you don't have a heavy crosswind prop wash. The other thing is, when they lay out airports, they put the runways in where the prevailing winds are, and 523, I think is normally our most prevailing wind. If they're changed in direction back to the way they were, it's, this is obviously gonna cost more money, But we do get a benefit of, I think, 2 more aircraft on the ramp, and you get to keep Category 2. I just think the benefit is to go this way. And this is actually, and I wasn't challenging your 4 or 6 years at university,
I was being.
but I have seen this. I've worked at airports where this was the norm, and I have visited airports where it's the norm too. But this is the way our original ramp tie downs were in the 70s, 80s, everything until we had this new, I think this asphalt patch added on here. Right, so they were already pointed this direction anyway, but
It's a good solution.
I think it looks good that way, but
You may ask, why are there 2 here, and not one in the center? There's actually room to park an aircraft in the center here, but if you've been here on a good rainstorm, all of the water that lands on the apron is headed for that spot right there. And this water is sometimes 6 inches deep. And although you could park someone there in a dry condition, I have a feeling that someone would not want their aircraft parked in a place where there's 6 inches of water for a couple hours while it drains off into the pond. Would not be an ideal location, so I left it out. Be happy to put it in for you if you want it there. That would give you 10 spots. But I've only calculated this pricing at 12 asphalt tie downs, that's these 4 aircraft, and 15 concrete tie downs, it's these 5. And we would remove the old T markings here and just leave the anchors in place. You can taxi over them, no problem, they're flush. Try to take those out. That's pretty destructive when you do that.
Didn't MHT Rockland indicate something to the effect of there's some striping somewhere that encouraged people to want to park nearby?
So that was something they were talking about in front of their hangar over here,
Okay,
but I think that's been remedied.
okay, so the striping is gone?
Up next to the old
In
one,
here.
Yeah,
we need to get out and pressure wash.
okay,
It all-
so we're gonna take
yeah.
care of that.
It's very faint, and it's only used casually generally by transients who don't know they shouldn't park there.
Sure.
This would allow Rockland to still power in, generally following this line to their positions, and then they can power out. Again, you actually have this, it's not the color version, but I printed a black and white for you in case somebody wanted to study. And I think previously you had authorized 17,000 and change, I forget, maybe 17,400. So this is a little more expensive, but Herb Earthworks, your current contractor, is willing to do this. They'll pick it up here probably in the next 2-3 weeks, and they'll filter it in while they're finishing up hangar F1 and E2. And we'll need some small, maybe a 1 or 2 day closure in the area when we do the striping. But it'll be relatively low impact to parking out front if you choose to do this work. And I would be proposing this as an upset limit for what would be change order number 3 on the project.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. So regarding the 5th spot in the center there,
Yes, sir.
just a question, would it be one of those situations where you'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it? I mean, I understand the part about the water and the flooding and everything, but if you're in this process, why not go ahead and put it in, and when you can use it, you can, and when you can't, you can't? I mean, is that?
well, if you had, yeah, you could, I mean, you're right. If we had a situation in which we had that many overnight parking, but I just don't see that as a real issue. You can use it in the daytime and put chalks there on the wheels. Now, if it's a windy day in February or March, yeah, you may want tie downs. Because it's not gonna affect the airplane as the water funnels underneath it. You've got a good point. It's just gonna it's gonna interfere with your egress to that aircraft without getting your feet soaked.
About $750 more. Actually, more than that.
No, it's
In asphalt, it'd be the 370 in asphalt?
It's actually 2 asphalts, and the tail would be in the concrete section. It's about $1,300 more.
That's right, because it's right in that drain where
Right
it goes
in
into the
concrete
retention
in front of the
pond.
So,
We could always add it later,
2
couldn't we?
asphalts and 1 concrete.
The other thing we may, in considering this plan is if we ever do What are we on that? Is it like 10 years for the ramp expansion for the next one?
It's at least 5.
Okay. So if we continue that way, we might get that one added later if we just keep that continued
For
flow.
sure. When you expand the apron going this way,
That
we
whole
would-
structure moves.
yeah, that'll probably become either an inlet, or we'll try to raise the grade through here and keep moving the water down further to the west where the new pond would be. But again, that's quite a few years away, and that would be a big project. Changing tie downs in that project would be pennies on the dollar.
How often, question for Maria, how often do you think we're gonna get a situation where we've got 9? Now, if we've got a hurricane coming, we're gonna be scrambling for spaces anyway to help people out.
Unless we have a special event or something like that, but even on our busiest day,
We wouldn't have, and we could chalk an aircraft there, or you could even chalk some up in the inner loop of the Class 2 loop, right up by the south end there or whatever, right there if you had to.
On a short-term basis, if you know there's no Group 2s coming in, you can chalk aircraft there temporarily. I wouldn't tie them down overnight in that area,
Right.
because somebody could taxi through there and not know they're there, but
Yeah, I'm just talking about transient traffic during the day. If the ramp did fill up, we've got some, a little bit of cushion spacing, so.
No, I was just curious, just $1,300 while you're in the throes of construction to have an extra one,
My only concern, and I'm not disagreeing with anyone, but I guess from my point of view, I wouldn't want to put infrastructure in front of a drainage infrastructure. So basically, it'd be like, that you're gonna have that why everything is designed that way is the water's gonna funnel through it. And so if you're unaware of that, as a transient person, you would not have wanted us to design something to encourage you to park in a flood zone, is essentially what it could be in a major storm event. But I can see your point completely, but I just didn't know. I know that when we started this process several months ago, there seemed to be a big need for tie-down space. Now it looks like we're getting close to being able to actually do it. And so, is that number 10 that 10th aircraft tie-down, is that gonna, provide some extreme level of need?
I've been out here when that apron is wet, from a hard rain,
Right.
and that area is flooded. And I'm like you, I think we would be better off not to put tie downs in that area. Only in the event that you did have someone there, they're gonna wade, they're gonna be ankle
they're gonna
deep.
be cussing at us while they're walking out to their
Or they're gonna be
airplane.
coming to say, Maria, will you go get my airplane out of the,
It does, it gets-
Well, let's just placard that as the seaplane, designated seaplane spot. Float planes only. And then we'll put anchorage.
So is this gonna solve an express need that we've kind of been kicking around for several months now? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's gonna be real advantageous to the airport and to our customers.
And it's all due to Scott.
Right.
Wow.
Brilliant.
It's a bold statement.
and I think the additional cost is not an issue only because of the additional income that we're realizing because of the Jet A fuel sales. It's gonna make our ramp what it needs to be. So obviously, this is something that we just flippantly and quickly made a decision on because this is option 6. And,
Third board meeting.
and you're right, it's the third board meeting we've talked about it. So I think Scott's idea and what Bill has brought to us is very feasible. And from my standpoint, I think it's the best option.
Are there anything that needs to happen with the FAA or FDOT in order for this to procedurally occur?
now you can, it's your ramp.
Okay.
You can mark it and operate it however you want, particularly since you're spending your money on it. Just need your vote and we'll get it done.
I'll make a motion to approve apron utilization option number 6 with a maximum cost of $23,880.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion?
This would be listed as change order number 3.
This will be change order 3.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll get that document to you this week.
okay.
all right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, I'm done.
All right, thank you, Mr. Prang. Ms. Whitney? Good evening. All right. All right, thank you, Ms. Whitney. The items under my agenda items, rescheduling the workshop. We need to look at our calendars. And this will be a workshop for our,
Budget.
we're going to do a budget and also we probably, I want to bring to the board, get your input. We need to have a workshop also for the minimum operating standards. And I think the two need to be separate only because of just the amount of information we're going to have to look at. So.
Which one's more important right now, the budget?
The budget.
Okay. When would you like to schedule that, in the next couple of weeks, I presume?
Lonnie's going to be available to pull all of the QuickBooks, proposed budget information.
Yeah, she'll be
Okay.
here till the 30th. So if we could maybe look even at the week of the 14th.
Excuse me.
Give her a budget amendment as her final farewell.
What's that?
Give her a budget amendment as her final farewell.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna make her work hard.
Would it be possible to consider Thursday, June 17th?
I'm open for that.
Good for me.
What time would be best?
Last time we had it set for 4 o'clock. Would that work?
I can make that work.
Okay, we'll do that June 17th at 4 PM. All right, while you have your calendars out, if you will notice in July, excuse me, our meeting is scheduled typically the first Tuesday of each month. That's July the 6th. That's pretty close to July 4th weekend. Didn't know if some of the board members might be out of town. Do we want to reschedule our meeting to July 13th? The city has rescheduled their meeting from the 5th to the 12th. What's the board's pleasure?
Better get you some water. I'm good either way.
What date was that?
He was proposing the 13th, the second Tuesday of the,
Yeah,
Be either the 6th or the 13th. I have no
I'll be out
preference.
of town for conference that whole week.
of the 13th.
Yes, sir.
I'm available, Chair.
I have no preference. Either way is good.
13th?
Bruce says he's out of town.
Everybody else here?
Everybody else here.
I'm good on the 6th or
We
the
still
13th.
have a
Me too.
quorum.
Yep.
Bruce, you could,
I was gonna ask, can I attend
Virtually?
via virtual?
You cannot, right?
Okay.
That's up for conversation now with the new rulings for COVID. So there's
Oh,
a possibility. We're
We'll get
working
back
through
to you.
I'll
those.
plan on it, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there's any issue, Bruce, with you tuning in.
Yeah.
I think the question is whether or not you can actually vote on an item.
And that's what's being discussed right now. So we'll have more information by the end of this week on that topic.
Right. All right, so we want to go with July 13th for our meeting.
That'll work.
Normal time, right?
Yes.
Okay, same time, 6 PM. All right, the last item I have is we want to have a celebration of life to honor Mr. Wayne Wynn. And Maria has been talking with Miss Charlotte. We wanted to obviously involve her, and she wanted some of the family to be here. We've been working on some ideas. Maria, you want to share what you had in mind for that?
So we, without giving too much away, we've got some print of Mr. Nguyen that I'd like for each one of the board members and employees to come and sign. So just get with me over the next week. I did speak with Miss Charlotte this afternoon, and she said, well, anytime next week should be good, so we're tentatively, I said, well, what about Tuesday late afternoon, which I think falls on the 8th,
Correct.
and we're thinking 4:30 or so, in the afternoon. She was gonna check with Wayne's, brother, I think, and sister, and make sure that that all works, so hopefully I should know something tomorrow. And then we were also, Luke offered to, fly Mr. Wynn's plane. Just kind of do a nice flyby, and then maybe just have some refreshments here and present Miss Wynn with, we've got some nice military coins. And then also with the picture, and I think just sharing some nice words on his time that he served on the board. So if anybody else has any other ideas as well, let me know.
What time did you say, Maria?
4:30.
4:30?
The 8th?
Yes.
It's BCC.
And that's flexible too, I think. It sounded to her.
So she's gonna confirm with you or whatever.
Scott, did y'all have a conflict with another meeting?
Yes, it's the Board of County Commission meeting, the utility in the district. That's one that,
Yeah.
I don't know that but yeah.
Did she ask for that day?
No, I was just pulling a day, so we could look at Wednesday or
Are
Thursday.
you sure? Because if it's good for everybody else, or better for everybody else to do it that day, that's,
Is there any other conflict if we move it to
let's take a look.
like the 9th or 10th?
Talking June, Craig.
Yes.
I don't know if she does church on Wednesday evening.
Probably.
That may be a conflict for her. I know they were both active there. The 10th may be a better, Thursday, the 10th.
At 4? At 4?
Yeah, 4.
4 would be better, the KLRBA mixer is that night.
It's the 17th, I believe.
Oh, I've got it as the 10th. I think you're right, though. I think I put it on the wrong day. Okay,
Yeah, Barbara just sent an email. It's-
okay.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'll
So-
check with her on the 10th.
10th at 4,
Yes.
okay. Okay, thank you. That's all that I have. Let's see. I don't think anyone else had anything there on the agenda. Major McDowell is not with us, and so that's it.
I always start out with, Mike's pages are getting longer and longer on my facility report, so he's getting a lot done, but it's certainly detailed. As I mentioned, I won't bore you with all the day-to-day operations, but we were getting excited. He actually bush hogged the 12 acres over here and did the infield, and then it stopped raining, so now we haven't done any mowing whatsoever. Trying to do a little bit of weed control, I think, on our runways, though. He performed the second quarter SWIP inspection and documentation, so he's staying up with our stormwater prevention plan. He has been helping out quite a bit down at the hangars with Herb and just getting tenants moved back into their hangars, and then he helped quite a bit with Nick getting Val's hangar emptied out so that they could prep for that. We have noticed a big pickup in a lot of military, which are trying to get back on schedule, I think, from COVID, trying to get all of their qualification jumps and other training taken care of. And I've pretty much handed a lot of that over to Mike now. So he's been busy just visiting with each one of those units as they come out. A lot of new units are coming out, recognizing what we have here, and then, of course, our proximity to Camp Landing. So, and we have incorporated a new policy to where if they're coming out and just using land usage, that we are assessing a fee associated with that. And so thank you to Camp Landing for kind of helping us in that, and those efforts as well. We had to bring power lift doors out last week, Mr. Bailey's door. Again, we were having some issues with that. But we figured out that probably because of all of the movement that was taking place in that hangar, that it probably, in the hydraulic line somewhere, it just loosened some piece that got caught into that line, and it wasn't allowing the door to shut. So about another $1,200 later, we were able to get that all figured out. This is the $1 million hangar.
Are we going to consider readjusting his rate now that the door, that the floor is being repaired
We'll
and
get him back on schedule.
lighting and,
Yeah, because obviously for years, we haven't made any adjustments.
Right.
In his hangar, so but yes, we will. That and also E1, which is where the door would not shut. I think Grant is in that one, so that'll get readjusted back to the normal cost as well. The tenant gate, so Mike goes home on last Wednesday night, and the firm gate and the tenant gate, of course, have just been, they're gonna make him lose his mind. He went home and got on YouTube for 5 hours and finally figured it out, because even the gate people couldn't figure it out. So he came out, and I think he reprogrammed everything, took everything out, and as far as I know, everything is working just fine now. But I'm almost afraid to say that. So in terms of facility, I think everything is running smooth. He's just going around and trying to just take a time to fix things while we're not mowing. Equipment is running fine as well. A few months ago, I had brought to the board the truck lease. We were looking at leasing a 5,000 gallon truck lease, and I think there was a 2002 that Titan had presented to us at $1,500 a month, and you all had asked for me to see what the cost would be to get a newer truck, so that we wouldn't possibly have the troubles that we have with this one. I did talk to Byron. A brand new truck to purchase, just because he gave me this cost, it runs about $230,000, just so we know for future purchasing cost would be. To lease that would be about almost $2,600 a month. Okay. There is one available, a 2009 that's available in South Florida. That's about $1,500 a month. If we go newer, 2012 to 2018, it only bumps it up to about $2,000 or $2,100 a month. The problem with that is that there's nothing available at this time, because they're having problems getting the chips for those trucks. So they're just sitting there in their lot up in New Bern. So he said, you're probably 5 or 6 months out, which I really don't want to have to wait that much longer, because they've got their second class that'll be starting up again in another month or so.
What did you say the first one was? It was an 09?
09. I said.
At 15.
It was 09.
Okay.
For 1,500.
I really believe, and I think Mike has alluded to the fact that now that jet fuel truck of ours is being used routinely, a lot of the gremlins have gone away. And that is true of anything mechanical. It's not meant to be left sitting. I think we should consider the 2009. I mean, do they have a record of where it was used, or?
He does. This one particular is down in Marco Island, and they were using it, they've only been using it for a few months because of the fuel shortage that was going on. And I think the amount of jet fuel that they pumped, they wanted to have an additional 5,000 on hand, kind of like what we want to be able to utilize it for here.
But I mean, I wonder prior to that where it was, or was it used heavily? Did it come from a bigger airport? And I would think it would be in a 5,000 gallon tanker.
He didn't mention that, but when they do turn those, they all go back up to New Bern, and then they do a complete overhaul. He said sometimes they'll put new chassis on these trucks completely. He said there's one that was at a local airport that he just got back, and he said it just is in horrendous shape. He said there's no way I'd give you guys a truck that's been beaten like that, so.
So what's the term of agreement? So what, do we sign a year contract?
We can do a year, and he said if down the road you find out that you want to upgrade to a newer one, then that wouldn't be a problem at all. He said, but if you're needing something within the next month or so, he said, I can probably get you the 09 within a month.
How does the maintenance work on it? Are we responsible for all the maintenance on an old unit like that?
Yes. Yeah, anything that's major, they'll cover, but just your annual,
Belts.
your filters, anything
Belts,
like that.
hoses, brakes.
Normal wear and tear. We're responsible
What
for.
years our current fuel truck roughly?
Gosh, I think
It's
that's
older
like-
than 2009, I presume.
1865, I think. 69, sorry, 1840.
Post-Civil War, post-Civil War.
No, it's 1995, I think, or.
It's at early to mid-90s, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So this would be a substantial improvement from that standpoint as far as.
It would, and like I say, even with that truck, now that it's being worked more frequently, it seems like it's not having as many problems. And not to say that Mike didn't do a lot of work getting it there too,
Right.
but I would feel, you go into some airports and they've still got trucks from the 1970s out on the ramp. The main thing is your fuel filtration. As long as it's maintained and they got stainless steel tanks, those things will run forever,
Like old airplanes.
Yep, kind of like that.
So is there still an immediate need then? Do we, there's
Yeah,
a
I
demand?
wanna get ahead of this, only because we don't know moving forward what the fuel, right now, if we order fuel, we're still 5 or 6 days out, even a little bit longer than that, and it never used to be like that.
So you want to you're trying to hedge that and ensure that we always have Jet
Right,
A.
yeah, I don't want these guys to ever have to fly over to Gainesville to get fuel. So this way, we can essentially have 2 tanks on the ground ready to go.
Well, the other thing that it does is, let's say Rockland needs 3,000 gallons. Our current tanker's what, 2,200? Or 20, yeah.
22.
So that means they've got to go
Twice.
fuel it, they gotta dump it, they gotta go refuel it and come back and really, in those tankers, you want that fuel that's been pumped out of the farm, you want it to settle for a little while to separate any water contamination. It's not that the filtration won't get it, but the preferred method is fuel it from the farm and let it sit. And that way the water, if there's any, and there is always a little bit of water to condensate, but you get the advantage of having an additional fuel farm on wheels. And you go to the airplane one time, and then even at that, if you have a corporate jet come up within 20 minutes of that, you're not stuck with the other truck or with the truck connected to the farm, and you can't service a client or delay them. You can go ahead and pump with that, or pump with the other truck and then have that one fueling. I think it's absolutely beneficial we go with it. Not necessarily that one, but that would be, I would think a 2009 would be fine.
But from what I've understood from your conversation is that this is the only vehicle available
Yes.
currently in their inventory. We need to go through Titan because they provide our fuel services.
Right.
So there's one option, and it's a 2009 for $1,500 a month.
And if after a year, if we want to upgrade from that, or even within that year, we just need to get on the list.
Now, if we went to do an outright purchase, there are a couple of places out west. There's a company I looked at in Oklahoma, I think, that has brand new fleet equipment and they have refurbished. So if we were gonna shop it that way, then we would have multiple points. Wouldn't be the exact same trucks, probably the odds of getting all the same chassis manufacturers and tankage, but you'd have some options. But I'd say for the lease, these people have an obligation to keep us as a customer happy. I don't think they're gonna give us any junk.
Right.
And at $1,500 a month, I don't think we're gonna be chipping away at our profit. Because if we negate that, if we go to 2,600 and we're making 4,000 a month, that's a big chunk of our profit.
Is there a delivery charge associated with that as well, like a destination fee?
For this, because it would be coming up from South Florida, I don't believe so, but I'll make sure.
It might be nominal, but it could be several $1,000s because they're gonna put it on a semi truck and haul it up here.
Right.
Or Scott was gonna go pick it up
Now, how is this gonna work? Actually, I think they had to bring in a low boy,
on a local.
because I don't think you can,
License for the road.
you can't transport an
That's,
aviation tanker
so put it on a semi truck and bring it up.
unless you do it late at night. Okay, never mind. How's this gonna work? Do we have to have the budget workshop before we approve this?
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest. I've already got a line item for the fuel truck in there. I just didn't put in the cost because I didn't know which way you wanted to go. And David and I are gonna sit down with Lonnie tomorrow just to get that budget spreadsheet like that. So my suggestion would be just wait till we get the spreadsheet out, we get to the workshop, so that you can see how not just that line item impacts the budget amendment, and then moving forward with the new 21-22 budget as well. And then I would say approve from there.
Okay, you know, I don't talk very much at these meetings, but I want to offer a point here. You said that we are not allowed to vote as a board when we have a special workshop. Is that not correct?
A workshop, you will not be able to.
It's specific.
For information, you'll bring that to your board in July.
To bring back to the board meeting for a vote.
Right. So you may not be able to tell them until the July meeting that you want that truck, and it could be gone. Can we vote now to give her the authority to, because I think we're gonna approve this on the budget if we're in agreement now, can we vote to approve her giving a deposit as an expenditure, you know, just to hold the truck or whatever's necessary to ensure we get that truck?
Yeah, I don't see a problem with us doing that.
And then we can actually, after we get the budget, then we can take a vote on it. And then if that gets declined, I think we'll all be very surprised. But it's just a suggestion so you can get it in the works so we can hold it. I don't know if that's possible.
This won't work within your budget. You can just go ahead and recommend that it gets approved now and just see it, how it lays in your budget.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
I'm sorry, I asked her if there was any reason that she suspected that this wouldn't work within your budget, and with the answer being no, then the board can take action on it now without needing a recommendation from a budget workshop. And then it just be presented as a revised
Okay.
a budget amendment.
We don't have the money budgeted now. I just didn't know if we could do that.
You can do that prior to seeing that it's just,
And we've got money to cover it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not an issue either. My concern with waiting any longer also is we don't know what kind of time delay we may come in with just getting the truck. And then they're literally cranking up, getting ready for a second class to go. So I think we need to move on this tonight rather than postponing it till July.
I agree.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we give the airport manager the authority to go ahead and enter into a lease agreement for the 5,000 gallon tanker through Titan.
Second.
All right. Any other questions for Maria or discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right,
Okay, good, thank you.
move forward with getting that truck.
All right, let's see what else I've got on here. The only I guess the last pieces that we've got is, as we all know, Lonnie's is retiring. We are having a going away, sending off party here on June 26th. I think all of you would have received an email for that. So if you can RSVP to me later on this month. And her husband is paying for everything as well. This is just something he's asked for us to do. So he will be incurring the cost. In terms of her position, I did offer the position to someone on Friday, and I won't reveal the name yet because we don't have the pre-employment drug test back. So as long as that comes back, and I don't have any doubt that we'll have an issue with that, we'll be good to go. And she'll hopefully start within the next week to 10 days, which will still give quite a bit of time with Lonnie. So other than that, I feel like I'm leaving something out.
You're gonna just mention about the temporary offices that MHT Rockland has pulled in.
Yes, so those were delivered on last Thursday. I think there's 3 units. So Todd and some of the office staff are now moving into those offices. They are listed as temporary. Michael Davis with MSD Construction is the one who's managing all of that. According to Todd today, Clay County's not requiring that they have permits for those. Although we had to have permits, a few years ago with that whole other event that they had. But no permits required because they're temporary, even if it's 2 or 3 years. So they'll be moving their offices over there.
Are they do those have restrooms?
Yes, they'll be tying, once we get the gentleman to come out and get everything hooked back in for the septic issue that's going on, they'll be connecting with that.
So if there's no permits required, how do we know if the sewage system will support the hangar and those?
So there's not permits that necessarily need to be pulled for the buildings themselves.
Okay,
There'll be permits pulled for the electrical and for the plumbing.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And the guy that we talked with, we told him that MHC was proposing to put those in place. So that will all be there.
How many total temporary office buildings are they gonna
I
have?
think there's 3 that are put together.
Okay,
I
and
don't know.
is that all they'll need for the future, or would we anticipate more?
No, I think that'll probably cover it. I think that's gonna offer them, I don't know, maybe 4 different offices, and plus a conference room and a big other meeting space. I don't anticipate anything larger. I don't know what much more will fit on that land either.
And they already had a lease agreement as well?
Yes,
For that
that's all,
space?
but they've
The
been
entire
paying-
space
Yeah,
is the
they've
lease
been
agreement.
paying for that since I think they moved into that hangar. So,
How long will they temporarily be there?
2 to 3 years.
10 years or?
No,
Till the new
2
campus is
yeah,
built?
till the new
Okay.
campus is built, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to ask you, Bill, in terms of the MHD Rockland, that space down there, because Todd wanted to get with us this week, possibly, or next week, about the land lease. Because I think he's gotta be able to turn some of that information into Space Florida. So whenever that gets finalized, just let me know what the acreage is.
Okay. Does he want to start just talking about the agreement in principle? And then fill in the acreage part when that's known? Because you could probably discuss all the terms and conditions and get the land lease
Okay.
and the rate figured out, and we'll just figure in the acreage. We won't know
So it's
that.
what, an estimated 11 or 12
It's
acres?
about 11 acres, but we won't know that until we finish the design,
Okay,
and we haven't started that yet.
okay,
We can give him a number for 11,
yeah,
so,
okay.
You could probably develop a draft lease agreement based on 11 acres. Maybe you can submit that, and then before you actually execute it, you'll fill in the exact acreage.
Okay. All right,
yeah, because one of the things that we include now, Bill, with those leases is a survey and legal description, so,
Yes.
okay.
And who's obligated to do the survey? The tenant or the airport?
Tenant,
tenant,
I will mention that to him.
okay.
that's all I have, Chairman.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sid. Ms. Ratowski?
I have 3 items. The first is the Bradford County seat will go into, or will be advertised this coming Thursday. We're accepting applications through July 2nd to be appointed at the council meeting on July 12th. The next item is that as Chairman mentioned, our July meeting will be moved to July 12th. We have the July 3rd will be the 5K run, as well as the vendor show with fireworks proposed on July 4th at Keystone Beach. The last item that I have is that we are pretty close to tying up the final ordinance for the airport authority. I think we've got one outstanding item left to hash out, and then we're suspecting to put that in front of council at the July meeting as well. And then that'll be where the requirement for your Form 1 and your ethics will be stated within our ordinances. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Lynn has certainly been busy with a lot of things. I know we'd met, I guess, a month ago about the ordinances and finding discrepancies and a lot of things that needed to be cleaned up. And so we appreciate all the effort that she's put into that to get that resolved and straightened out. All right, any other items? All right, it is 7:32. We'll consider ourselves adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.